The O'Reilly Factor is on tonight.
There's a level of disrespect for the office that occurs, and that occurs in some cases and maybe even many cases because he's African American.
Oprah Winfrey defending President Obama using the race card. Why is she doing this? And is it harmful to Mr. Obama's cause?
I think if this were to happen in the private sector, somebody would have probably already lost their job.
One of the president's biggest critics these days is former White House spokesman Robert Gibbs. Britt Hume has some thoughts on that. And Charles Krauthammer on why American workers are not making much money while the wealthy continue to prosper. Also tonight, George Zimmerman arrested in Florida. Caution, you are about to enter the no-spin zone. The Factor begins right now. Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching us tonight. Oprah Winfrey defending President Obama using the race card. That is the subject of this evening's Talking Points Memo. Last week, Ms. Winfrey, promoting her film The Butler in Great Britain, was interviewed by the BBC.
Has it ever crossed your mind that some of the treatment that Obama and the challenges he's faced and some of the reporting he's received is because he's an African American?
Has it ever crossed my mind? It's crossed my mind probably as many times as it's crossed your mind. Probably it's crossed my mind more times than it's crossed your mind. Just the level of disrespect. When the senator yelled out, "You're a liar." Remember that? Yeah, I think that there's a level of disrespect for the office that occurs. And that occurs in some cases and maybe even many cases because he's African American.
Now let's analyze Oprah's take. I've known her for decades, not well, but we've spoken on occasion. As I've written, I admire Oprah Winfrey. She rose up from very humble circumstances to become perhaps the most powerful woman in the world. And she did that on pure talent. She also looks out for the kids. I've been on a program talking about protecting children. In my opinion, she is a good person. But Oprah definitely has a blind spot when it comes to politics. She, along with some others, use a racial prism when analyzing public policy. There's no question that President Bush was attacked far more viciously than President Obama has been. But Ms. Winfrey has not acknowledged that, as far as I know. Both men had controversies: Bush, the Iraq War, Obama, healthcare. So, is there an anti-WASP sentiment in America? President Bush being a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant. I would like to put that question to Oprah Winfrey, but she has declined to appear on this program. Her statement is even more erroneous when you examine recent history. This week, we are marking the 50th anniversary of President Kennedy's assassination. He was hated and vilified by some because he was a Roman Catholic. Again, the irrational hatred directed toward Kennedy, far greater than what Barack Obama has experienced. So what Oprah Winfrey is doing is making an excuse for President Obama using race. And many other committed left-wing people who truly revere the president are doing the same thing. We all know that some Americans do despise Barack Obama because of his skin color. There will always be bigots. But the number is insignificant. And I submit that Oprah Winfrey and others who play the race card can't back up their statements with any facts. The lunatic fringe will hate no matter what. But legitimate criticism of Barack Obama is not race-centric. It is based on policy. The president wants to change America. He wants to impose a big government income redistribution situation. Many Americans like me believe that will weaken the country. I have nothing personal against President Obama. In fact, he has joined with me to help thousands of wounded veterans. He's been great on that issue. But this nanny state play is causing tremendous economic problems. And that's where my criticism comes down. Finally, it is irresponsible of Oprah Winfrey, a woman of influence in this country, to say what she said to the BBC. The record shows that Mr. Obama is simply a president who is being criticized for some of his policies. And as the man himself would say, period. And that's the memo. Now for the top story tonight reaction. Joining us from Cambridge, Massachusetts, Harvard University Law Professor Charles Ogletree, who is a friend to the president. So where am I going wrong here, Professor?
Well, Bill, where should I start? First of all, I love Oprah Winfrey. She's done a great job. And I think in her heart, if you heard all of her statement, I'm sure all of it will be put on the Fox network, she's talking about how things are much better than they were. But she was incensed about what happened to President Obama with comments about race. She didn't say anything that the president said. In fact, he is one who has Teflon and when it comes to issues of attacking him. He's been attacked by people from start to finish, and I think the reality is that he is a good man. He doesn't let race bother him. Whether people say he's not race enough, he's too much race, he ignores that and tries to do what's best for the country. And you think about it, some of these criticisms have not just been about Obamacare, and people are very critical of that. But the reality has been about everything, about whether he's a citizen, whether he was born in Hawaii, whether he's really should be someone who's a Kenyan who shouldn't be in the office. Those types of attacks keep going on. And the "you lie" is a very serious indictment. The whole idea that Joe Wilson did during the State of the Union, which never happens to any president, that was a very terrible event because it showed you after Joe Wilson said this, what happened? His contributions increased. Right? People agreed with him. That's crazy.
Well, look, here's the deal. You say that the president basically is under fire in some precincts because of his race. I reject that. I think it's basically a policy play. It's a policy play. That's why. Right. And you say that the Hawaii, Kenya, and you left out Muslim, you could throw that in there. Those people have been marginalized. They've been marginalized by me and others.
Bill, they still exist. They still exist.
Bigots always exist, Professor. You know that. You can't do away with it. But let me be more pointed to you and Oprah Winfrey. Do you deny that President Bush, the younger, was more vilified than President Obama?
I do.
You don't think that? Did you hear what the left was saying?
Let me just tell you. I do think more has been thrown at President Obama, and it hasn't stuck. He's the Teflon man. He's no question about that. He's able to do that. But he has been taking these attacks since he was a state senator in Illinois, when he was a U.S. senator in Illinois, when he was elected in 2008, when he ran against one of the great men who serves in Congress now, John McCain. He was elected again in 2012 when he ran against our governor, our former governor, Mitt Romney. And he has always been and will always be, as long as he lives. Just think about this, 2012, less than a year ago. Just before he was reelected, it was Donald Trump saying, if you give me your transcript from college, if you give me your birth certificate, I'll give you $5 million. You know, come on now.
Listen,
we've already solved that issue. Why are we still doing that?
You can't control individuals from doing what they do. But Miss Winfrey is indicting this country in Great Britain for being a racist country which objects to President Obama because of his skin color. Flat out false, not true, and you just made the point. He was elected twice. Black Americans comprise 13% of the population, okay? So just the facts, just the facts. Is there one legitimate news organization in this country, anywhere, Professor, that has used race to attack Barack Obama? One. Is there?
A lot of them.
Give me one. Give me one.
A lot of them. If you look at what has happened to President Obama from the first time he ran for office, there were ads and all of these papers about whether he was a Muslim. That has
Give me one news organization, one that has used race to vilify the president. You can't. You can't give me any. You're pointing to kooks. You're pointing to individual kooks.
You call Breitbart a kook and what he had to say before he passed away?
He was a blogger. He was a blogger. Right. He worked for himself.
That goes to more people than anything else.
There is not an institutional bias against the president. You know there isn't. Kennedy, Roman Catholics, okay? You know what happened to him. All presidents get it. It is not a skin color deal. I'll give you the last word.
Just this, Bill, I think that if people look at history and look at what happened to President Obama, he's overcome the issue of claims of race. He's done a very good job on that. And I think that as much as you can criticize Oprah Winfrey, he is, in a sense, fluffed off all of these attacks on him, and his focus is on the economy, on making Americans go back to work, on trying to make sure we have a comprehensive health care plan, and all those things are important. I love this man. He's doing a great job, and he's going to do a great job as an ambassador to the world once his term ends in 2016.
All right. Good debate, Professor. We really appreciate you taking time to come on tonight.
And come to Harvard. Come to Harvard, Bill.
I think they're ashamed of me up there now. I'm embarrassed today. All right. We'll see you soon.
Not at all.
Thank you. Next on the Rundown, Juan and Mary Catherine on reaction to Oprah Winfrey and Zimmerman getting arrested in Florida. Later, Charles Krauthammer on why the rich are getting richer and American workers are stuck in the mud also. The mayor of Toronto acting out. Look at him go. Oh, no. Look at that. Factor's coming right back.